So after doing the segment with Songbirds, we learned that they are closing on August 15th. And I wanted to do this little intro from my law firm just to know they got $200 million worth of equipment. Check it out. You've got about 10 days. It's an interesting segment and a worthwhile trip.
We have so much in Chattanooga to offer, and our next segment will show us even more. We're going to go to Songbirds, where we will be talking with Bryan Shannon, the brand director. Hi, Bryan. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Scott.
Great to have you. Bryan, that's an amazing museum you have out there at Songbirds. Tell us, and that's the first thing I want to get into, because I saw some footage of what you've got in there. It's phenomenal that we have that in this town. Share with us, please, what your museum has.
Well, it really is quite special. And being a Chattanooga local, it's one of those things that whenever I discovered that we had this here pretty shortly after opening, it was a pinch yourself kind of moment, thinking, how do we have this here? This isn't just, one or two pieces of famous music history that were played by some great people, but it is just volumes upon volumes of the best guitars ever made, primarily coming out of Kalamazoo, Michigan for Gibson, Fullerton, California for Fenders, and some of the rarest one-offs, prototype guitars and instruments right here in the scenic city at the historic Choo Choo. It's a pretty special, magical place for sure.
And you've got what, about 300 guitars in your permanent collection? Is that right?
That's right. On site here, it's actually a third of our entire collection. We rotate the pieces out with some frequency to make sure we're keeping the exhibits fresh. But yeah, it's all of ours here on site of these pieces that have been assembled and collected really over the past almost 23 years now by one of the great folks out there, Dave Davidson, who's been helping us accumulate these great pieces of music history.
So in addition to your permanent collection, you have, what you mentioned, a rotating collection, and I understand you can have up to 1,700 instruments at one time. Do I have that number right?
Yeah, that's right, and that includes amps as well. So we've got equipment that goes with it, which is pretty great. We actually have on loan right now a pretty cool piece. It was Dwayne Allman's. People refer to it as an SD. So not to be too nerdy, it's technically a Les Paul. It's a 1961 Gibson guitar that he made very famous on the Fillmore recordings. Where it's got a slide. And that's actually the only piece in our collection that's not ours. It's on loan to us right now by the person that won that at auction last year. So folks can come down and get a chance to take a look at that and get up close and personal with that cool piece of history.
So Bryan, talking with you, you are literally a walking encyclopedia. I'm not sure if our listeners even remember what encyclopedias are. Now it's called Google. But in addition to looking at these things through the glass, Songbirds offers something that the kid in us loves. We want to touch, we want to feel, we want to play. Tell us, if you would, about the player experience that you guys offer.
Yeah, and well, first of all, thanks for the compliment. I will tell you, I've been very fortunate. We have some incredible people, our curator, assistant curator, some people who have forgotten more about guitars than I will ever learn. But obviously, the staff here, we're at an advantage because we've got the ability firsthand to put our hands on these pieces of history. So some of it's just learning by osmosis. You're around these things and you learn it. But to the player's experience and what we offer, early on, some of the feedback we got from people was, man, these look really great. This is awesome. But these are like looking at paintbrushes in a museum, right? At an art museum. These are made to be played and used. And so what we've done is we've created this experience called our player experience, where individuals can select from pieces of our collection and come right down here, put those guitars in their hands, play them through some of the most incredible vintage amps available, and have a chance to, which many of us, myself included, otherwise, I generally wouldn't have an opportunity to play a $500,000 guitar through, a $100,000 amp. But people can come down here and get a chance to do that for an hour to 2 hours, depending on the package that they select. They can also have a chance to record, with us as well too. So it's something that we're really proud of and that people have been taking advantage of. We actually just had an individual travel down yesterday and get a chance to experience that. And we love getting to do that. We love getting a chance to see people instantly when they get these instruments in their hands. The sort of oldest and most jaded of us immediately turn right back into that 13-year-old kid just geeking out about getting a chance to produce music, produce sound, produce art.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's exciting. Now, in addition to that, of course, you are a music venue.
That's right.
I know that we've had with COVID, it's affected the entire economy, and then I know it's affected you all. But tell me a little bit, if you would, about the music venue. And things are going to open back up. They're going to. Everything's
Sure.
temporary, right? So tell me about the venue. Who comes into play? What we can expect?
Yeah, so it's been something we've been very careful about. When Hamilton County here in Tennessee rolled out the regulations mandating masks, it was something where we actually shut down for 2 weeks, really to kind of take a step back and look at strategically how we were going to make an environment safe, not only for the artists who were coming in, for our staff, but also for the patrons who wanted to participate and come and see live shows. I know we've got some roll there. We're showing of a show back in April of last year. And we're definitely not at a place where we're ready to do anything like that, close proximity, shoulder to shoulder. What we're doing right now with our live shows is we are limiting capacity. So the downstairs room, Songbirds South, which we were just showing right there, normally can hold up to 500 people. We're actually limiting that to half capacity. So cutting off show attendance to 250 individuals. But the shows are actually seated downstairs right now. So we have tables, distancing, and a lot of cleaning. I tell you, when we go through, once a show is finished up, I mean, it is like a hazmat unit. We go out there and just absolutely scrub stuff down, because we want to make sure that people are comfortable when they're coming here. They're masked when they're seated as well, too, so that we can do this in a careful, measured, right way. What's been exciting, especially about the shows that we've had, too, is that because the number of national touring artists have slowed down, it's allowed us to really feature more local talent. So we've had a lot of individuals who otherwise would have had a chance to play, that we've had a chance to feature, here at our South Stage.
That's cool. Now, Bryan, in addition, you are a native Chattanoogan, graduate of CSAS, graduate of UTC. This history buff. I wish I was a history buff. And you heard the allusion to the television show in there, Bryan, I'm sure. But
Indeed, I did.
You have a podcast, and
we do.
Your podcast. Tell us. I mean, you had a guest that you told me about recently. Really cool. Tell us a little bit about your podcast. Number one, where we find you, and number two, what it's all about.
Sure. So we have the Songbirds Guitar Museum podcast. And what we're doing there is, because we are afforded this great opportunity here with this great collection, like a magnet, it attracts some of the best talent of individuals, of players today. Not only because they're coming here beforehand, pre-COVID, to play a lot of shows with us, but just because of the relationships and the attraction to the collection that we have here. We have pieces here that they themselves, many of these individuals who have toured for 40 plus years, have never seen. And to be able to get in person and be able to see, say, and I'll get a little guitar nerdy here, a 1958 Karina Explorer. There are only about 23 of those made. We have 2 of those in our collection here. So it attracts some people who are very interested in talking with us. And so we at one point said, we've got folks who are coming here anyway. Why don't we put a mic on them and actually get a chance to talk about their own experience with vintage guitars playing? So, we've been very fortunate. We had an episode that actually just we put out today with Brian Ray. Brian's one of the best guitarists in the world. He played with Etta James in the 70s, wrote for Smokey Robinson, and played with Smokey in the 80s. And then for the last 19 years, he's been Paul McCartney's touring guitarist and bass player. So you've got a guy with chops that can, stand right next to Sir Paul and play the bass line from Love Me Do. And that's a pretty cool. That guy's got some great stories, as well as his own guitar line. He has his own guitars through Gibson. So individuals like that. We've got Joe Bonamassa coming to visit with us again this week. For a private thing that we're doing for a contest that we had back in the summer for a young player, an 18-year-old fellow that's coming down from Michigan to play with us. So these are just people that we get a chance to reach out to and connect with, who share with us our love for old things, vintage things, and really get a chance to open up with some things that you might not otherwise hear, maybe on some other more confined, shorter format discussion type shows.
Oh man, and that's here in Chattanooga, and you've got all these people you get to talk to. I greatly appreciate that you have taken your time to talk with us, because our desire is to get the word out in Chattanooga with these treasures that we have, and Songbirds is definitely one of those. Now, Bryan, how can we find Songbirds online?
Sure. So our website is songbirds.rocks, ROCKS. So you can go there and find all the current information on museum hours, tours, player experience information. You can see the packages that we have available out there, and information on upcoming shows. And we also link to our podcast that goes out every bi-weekly for what we do online. And then we have our other version of the podcast that we do on WUTC every Friday afternoon from 2 to 3.
That's awesome. Bryan Shannon, I thank you for your time today. It's been tremendous.
No, Scott, it was a real pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. You don't want to miss a single episode of Nooga Connection. So we have great news. You can now listen to us on your favorite podcast platform while you're driving, working out, running. Look us up, search for us, Nooga Connection, and enjoy. Are you on Twitter? Follow us at Nooga Connection. Please like and share this video, like our page, and subscribe to our channel. Nooga Connection is sponsored by my law firm, the Davis Firm. In my 26 years of practice, I spent 15 years working for the dark side, working for insurance companies, preventing you from receiving what you are entitled to. Put my experience to work for you if you've been injured due to the fault of someone else, for example, in a car accident. Look me up on noogalaw.com or call my office. Protect yourself, protect your family.